everything scheduled yet. But I do, like I said, I do have the paintings for the next 2 months. And I've been on vacation. That's why we're only painting the coral. Everything's scheduled yet. All right. And then I also need to it's not one. I need to. Got it. And pin my welcome, everyone. Welcome. I guess I could have said that welcome after I posted, but welcome. So we're on YouTube. Welcome, guys. I'm Ronita. I am a purposeful point, and I love to paint. So as you can see, we're going to be painting the coral background or coral. We're going under the water. And like I told the ladies before, we're going to start with the blue and white background. And I'm just going to put it all on the canvas and kind of blend it in there. I'm not going to like mix it on my palette or anything. I like to go ahead and do that mixing on the canvas. And so normally I am painting with 11 by 14, but today I'm painting on 8 by 10. I liked the compact look of the coral, because I think it was because I was having to come up with more scenery in there. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go small, because I think this is like my second attempt. So again, I just dipped my brush, one corner in red and blue, one corner in white. And again, I just kind of want to blend on the canvas. If you look at my example, it's kind of darker on the outsides and gets kind of lighter on the insides. So I'm probably going to go with that technique as well. So, guys, I am using a suggestion on brushes. I'm always going to suggest a flat brush because that's my favorite. But most places in the store, you're going to find a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 brush, usually a 1/2 inch. So that flat brush, so that would be perfect to paint our background. I like to have the largest brush that I have to paint my background, get that area covered. And guys, I am, there's no method. Look, right now, it looks like I'm going horizontal, but you don't. I like my strokes to be the same way. It depends on how much texture I want on my base, whether I go horizontal, vertically. So in my example, you can say it looks like my brush strokes are mostly horizontal, but if I want texture, I'm all over the place. It won't matter. So right now, because I want my edges, my sides, my corners, you can see it's a little bit darker around those areas. I am painting, hitting that up kind of first. It's going to be a little darker, and then I'll add more white or add the white, because really it's pure blue right now. And as I get towards the center, I'll start adding a little white to get it to where it looks like blending in my white. So it looks like that area is lighter. Okay. So also, guys, you'll notice if you're painting and sometimes it looks like there's the paint is not smooth. I like to put the brush on there, and I'll bring my brush from one end to the other way, all the way across. That kind of eliminates like some of my paint marks where I stop. You can see the brush marks in my paint, which to eliminate that, like I said, I'll just take my brush and go from one side all the way across to the other side, so that I'll eliminate any brush strokes. That's what you see there. That almost kind of reminds me of a sky. But when we start adding our foliage, it that sky look won't look so much like a sky. I got a little bit of a gob of paint in there. Take that out. Guys, so now I have my canvas covered, and I'm gonna let it dry for a couple minutes. I'm gonna stop my swiping. And your canvas might be a little bit bigger than mine, or my brush was definitely bigger. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to go ahead and cover your canvas. So keep in mind, I did mention that because the base is a darker base, when we put our colors on with a darker base, then our colors are going to be more darker than if we painted on a white canvas or a lighter base. So keep that in mind. Orange is a bright color, but it's not going to be as bright as it would be if we were painting on a white background. So with the darker background, it's going to be a little darker. So you guys, of course, I always encourage you to choose your own colors, but right now I'm adding my orange to my palette.
This is what this shirt looks like. Pretty long right here, because this is where my
pants will be. Yeah, this is what my concern is right here.
This is fine. This is fine.
Yeah, but I would like it longer, but it's fine for right now. What size is that? Extra large, 18-20. Yeah.
I didn't know they sold shirt sizes like that. That's only two.
Yeah, and kids, you're in young men's, you're not in men's clothes yet. Well, your pants are. I'm going to start. That'll be my last one I buy. I'll switch over to men's shirts. All right, guys. Sorry about that. My oldest one, he's like transitioning. He's a man child. So he's tall and thin. So that's what I told him. I did grab a couple pair of pants and a shirt. We have a new pastor at our church, and we're having an installation service, and he has to usher, and they want him to wear black and white. So I had to go and I ordered some clothes online. But in the meantime, I ordered those, trying to, see if he's can still fit in the boys 18-20. I ordered that, but I was at Costco picking up water, and they had some slacks there. And I bought a pair to see if he could fit them. And guess what? He could fit them. So all those pants that I ordered from Kohl's are going back. I didn't hear that. What'd you say?
Sorry. I said it's terrible when they're kind of in between sizes.
Right.
You never know what to order.
It's a bummer.
Mm-hmm. And the thing here at least in Ontario, is kids' clothes don't have the same amount of sales tax that adult clothes. So you kind of want them to be in the smaller clothes as long as possible.
Absolutely. I want him to be in kids' clothes. They're a lot cheaper. But he's lanky. He's kind of long, lanky. He has absolutely no weight. Anita, I'm going to be using orange, pink, and green, maybe some purple. But on my example, it's orange, pink, and green. Move it over a little bit. You can see that all the colors in there. All right. So again, you guys should be done with your background, because we're getting ready to jump right on in with our colors. And it's not going to hurt if it's still kind of wet, because mine's will be kind of wet. Let me look and see. Yeah, it's kind of wet, but it's like the surface is kind of like a surface dry thing. And I'm going down in brush size. I could probably still use my 1/2 inch, just turn it sideways and start making wiggly lines. But I'm gonna start with this brush to see if I like the wiggly lines. And this brush, it says number 12, but or does it say 2? It's almost, but with the different brands of brush, it doesn't matter for me to even tell you what it is because every brand has their own numbering sequence. So, but I can just show you. That's what it looks like.
Clothes.
So I know we can do a little bit of black on the bottom. That'll help. That'll give you time for your top to go ahead and dry. I did add a little bit of black at the bottom. And that'll give you time to let your surface dry. And I raise it so you can see it. I'll show you my example where I kind of used a black or a darker blue, but I'm just gonna, and I also use a sponge down there, but I'm gonna skip over that sponge part. And I just, I didn't want to make it even straight across. You guys can see that put some movement in it. And I'm not like going completely solid on there. You can see some paint peeking through. It's not mandatory that it's solid, but just giving it more, a little something at the bottom. And it's not exact either. It doesn't have to be like a perfect wavy line or anything. It's fun, making it fun. And I'm going to stick with that same brush. Well, the same brush that I introduced, that I'm getting ready to make those wavy green lines. Okay, I'm grabbing my green and I am making my wavy lines. You can't see it very well, can you? See, what I'll do is, that you can see when you start at the bottom, the paint is darker. By the time I get to the top, the paint has thinned out. So then what I'll do is, some of them, I'll just start at the top and come down. You guys see, I'm just making squiggly lines because you think about underwater, you see the pictures or anyway, they're kind of squiggly. They're kind of flowing with my example over there. Now, can you guys see that, my example? I got some tall ones, adding a couple short ones. Just bring it on down to that, towards the black. And again, because that base is dark, they look kind of dark, but we're going to come back to those and then we'll just add some white to them on the outside and it'll bring them out. And right now, I'm kind of just going back over the ones that I already have. You decide how dense you want those. I'm just going back over the ones that I already have right now. But if you want to add some more, you can. See one that's kind of thin. And I'm using this brush, but I am still turning it sideways. But then when I press down, it spreads out. So it does make it a little, give it more width. You can see that's how I'm getting that width on with my brush, with this smaller brush. Do I need more? In my example, I brought them all the way up. And this one, it looks like I did not. So that is also an option for you. I'm gonna bring them all the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. Oh, here's one I did. I went all the way across like that. Does that make sense? Yep. And then go across it again. There we go. And also you can see that I actually added some orange to some of these down in the bottom. I had the orange paint on my brush. So I just went over there and added some, and it works. So I'm gonna let that kind of sit. And we're gonna move on. Now, here, you can see where I used a sponge a little bit, my orange paint. I'm gonna grab some orange paint. I'm gonna find a sponge. Again, I've used a sponge, just a regular household sponge that I've, So this is a sponge that I bought at the Dollar Tree. It's not what it's for, but you can see I cut some of it off. I wanted to make it smaller pieces, and I did some sponging with it. So, and again, if you don't have a sponge, that's fine. You can grab do a paper towel, and all the paper towel, it's just giving it texture. Whatever you think that you have that can make some texture on your This is also, they're $1. So this was like a scrub pad with that spongy part on it. And I just cut them up because I use them at my paint parties if somebody wanted to make some sponge. So that's what I did. These are just cut up Dollar Tree sponges, nothing special. And you can, whatever color that you want that to be, that's what I did. And again, paper towel can also give you that same, and give you texture. I'm turning it upside down so you guys can see what I'm doing, and also that I can see, so that I'm not that it matters on my easel. Because a lot of this was me experimenting. So I did that down here, and I was like, then I went to try something different. And I ended up putting the orange squigglies on top, but we're gonna work with what we got. And then since it's from the Dollar Tree, you can throw it out or whatever. or wash it out and reuse it like I do. But it's not major. I think it's all the way up. Okay. Anybody has joined us on YouTube. So now we are going to come back again and do some of that orange. So I'm going to wash my sponge off real quick. For me, I really didn't have to wash it out because I only used the corner for the orange. You can switch up and do another corner for the pink, or like whichever color you are deciding you want to do. So now I'm gonna turn it back around and I'm gonna do some short pink squigglies. You guys can see here where I did my pink squigglies. They're in the middle. Pink squigglies. Same brush, but now my green squigglies, they were a little longer, where now I'm going to do shorter ones. So the shorter ones are going to have more curve to them. And I'm using a pink, which this pink is translucent. So we'll see how that looks on there. Might be a little bit heavier with the paint, just so that I can see the orange on there with that darker background. But again, it's fine. It looks really pale now, my green. But when we come back in with the white to give it a little bit of depth, you're all right. So again, my squigglies are going to be a little bit shorter, guys. Need to make okay. Again, doesn't look like much right now, but once we add that white, it'll change. It'll make it pop. Now, since I already have this pink in my brush, now I'm pretty sure when I was painting, I was jumping around, but you guys can see that. I'm going to stick to that, and I'm going to put it up a little bit higher so that I can leave room for my orange squigglies. Okay. And then basically this is kind of look like, as you can see, tree branches. But but a pink tree instead, right? I'm gonna also go ahead and grab my sponge and use it in my pink now. Yeah. I'm also going to probably use a little bit of white with my pink as well, because try to give it a little bit of, bring it out a little bit. Give me a pink base. And after I get my pink down, and I'm just dabbing the paint. I'm not making strokes or like not using the sponge as a paintbrush like I'm doing strokes or anything. I'm dabbing the paint, just dabbing the paint like that. And I'm using the corner. This might just be me being anal, but I like just using the corner. Now I'm going to dip a little bit in the white. I'm going to start out with a little bit, and then if I need more white, then I'll go heavier. But just, it's better to like try a little bit. It's just like if you taste something, you put a little bit on your fork and you taste it together. You just grab a little bit, because you don't want to put a whole forkful in your mouth and it's not something that you like. So it's the same thing with the paint in some situations. I'm just going to put a little bit on there first to see how that looks, if I like it or what I need to do with it. All right. And then decide later if I want to add some more. Now, because there's already some pink in my sponge, you guys see what happens. It's not white, but it's nice. It lightened up. It lightened it, and it's not like totally white. So I like it, but I'm going to come back on top. I didn't rinse it or anything. Now I dipped it in the pink again, and then I'm going to come back on top with my pink. So what happens is, after adding that white, it gives it your base a lighter base. So now your pink will be more vivid. And again, I'm just dabbing, dab, dab, dab. So I love it. It looks just like my example. And it's just like swiping. You feel the need to continue to dab But go ahead, when you're done, go ahead and put the sponge down.
Just want to keep going. Okay. Oh, God. Oh, in my picture.
So I'm gonna go ahead and let that one be and switch over. And I want to put my orange squigglies on there. And of course, because that base on the orange area is going to be, it's brightened up a little bit, it'll reflect in our squigglies that are over top of that area. The squigglies are fun. And try not to be like exact squigglies, just like be loose and free with your squigglies. Some of my squigglies are going to have branches, like the trees. They're just not like totally. Now, I think I did after I wasn't crazy about this spongy area and I had already done squigglies over here. I did look at some squigglies and I saw some that had branches to them. And that's where I got some of the squigglies that have branches, where there's just not one single squiggly, but the squigglies branched out a little bit. And I'm sure they have a proper name other than squiggly, but
Wiggly's good by me.
so I'm done with those squigglies. I'm going to let them be, and I'll come back with my white for those squigglies. So I'll call these shorter ones squigglies, and then maybe these green longer ones squigs, because they're not as
Sure.
some squigs and some squigglies.
Well, we'll add them to the Oxford Dictionary for next year. Squigs and squigglies.
We can submit that to Webster. Or what's the other name that starts with the M?
Merriam-Webster, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They merged. Okay.
They merged, yeah.
I am washing that orange out of my brush, and I'm switching over to green. So I'm gonna do some highlights on my green squigs. So I am gonna take I mean, look, I'm gonna use my white first. I was getting ready to do an extra step, but let me just go straight to the white and see how I like it. I'm gonna slide this so you guys can see my green ones at the same time. I'm gonna go over the, you might have to slow down a little bit with the, do I like that? That white stands out a lot. So I'm gonna go back on top of it with the green. So that's what I wanted to try to see if it's something that I liked first.
I believe in scuba diving, they said that the green is the last color that disappears when you're down 30 feet.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I should have put them on top.
Well, no, I mean, they're all good colors because we don't have to be 30 feet down. We're just snorkeling here. So we're only like 2-3 feet, which
Okay.
means all the colors are still visible. I bought bright green flippers because of that. So somebody
Okay.
could find me at 30 feet.
If you're down too low, they'll find you for sure.
Exactly.
So now I'm just going over my green squigs, some white in my brush, but I'm using green, but there is some white in my brush. So I'm using white and green in my brush because I didn't like it with just a solid white. I'm going to add some green in there. That's my personal preference to you guys. If you want to do something different. And I am going to hit each squig at least one time. I think I got all of them. I see one. And I think I'm good.
Uh-huh. I like it.
Yeah. Just hit it that one time with a little bit of green and white, and it lightens up. And then we're going to pretty much do the same with the other ones. The pink, we're going to go to pink, and we're going to have the pink with a little bit of white.
For some reason, I kind of blobbed my paint, so I'm gonna have to wait a while before I can paint any white on it, or it's just gonna blur terribly.
Well, then you're just then you'll be able to just kind of blend it a little bit because that's all I'm really doing. So if you did, because I mean, mine's is blobbed as well, especially that pink, because my pink was so translucent. I was thinking the more, if I put more on there, then it'll show up more, but it didn't, I didn't get the effect that I really wanted to do.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of what I'm at, but I've got some neat texture, so I'm not sure I want to wreck it right now.
Okay. Well,
I might go back with a little bit of the white and the pink at the same time, or in my case, purple. But
yeah. So what you could do, it's not to disturb it, is to go down to a finer point brush.
Okay.
And just add a little bit of white in certain areas, not like
okay.
have to be
Not like
the whole squiggly area. Because if you look here, you can see where I don't have
You
white going all the way through, just
right.
maybe the curves, different
A
areas.
dab here and there. Like
yeah.
that.
And it gave it texture. And that way you don't have to touch the areas that look the best for you.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, so right now I just have a little bit of pink on my brush with no white because I am that pink, it bothers me. Mine's is so translucent. So I'm putting a coat of pink on first. Hopefully you guys have better luck with your pink or whatever you chose. Maybe if I had done purple, I would be like in there. Now I'm going to dip. Everything is kind of wet with the pink. I'm going to dip the tip of my brush. You guys, I paint with the tip of my brush. You very rarely see me have paint probably past here. If I have it past here, that means I use my brush to mix my paints on my palette tray. But for me, I'm just anal about wasting paint, and anything down there, you're not going to be able to. Sometimes you can smash it on your canvas to get it out of the brush from down there, but you're not painting with your brush down there. So it's like really a waste to have your paint there. And then you can't control that paint. I can control it better with my tip than if it's all the way down. I have too much paint on my brush. I'm going to wipe it on my canvas because I want to start out a little bit to see what I think first, just a taste. And I am okay with that. So now I'm just going over my squigglies with a little bit of pink. Well, there's pink already in my brush. And then that white. Wipe off a little bit. Because white, it pretty much does a lot. Depending on the situation. But sometimes people want to mix white with everything to lighten it up. But a lot of times the white gives it white is more opaque, and it does sometimes helps the paint. It looks better, but sometimes the binders in it still make it look kind of pasty. It changes it. So I'm cool. Now my squigglies don't look exactly like my examples, but I'm cool with those. I'm ready to move on to my orange. I'm going to go ahead and dip my orange. Then I am going to kind of go over my squigglies again with orange. So basically what this is wetting my paint, making the paint wet so that when I put my white squigglies on there, it'll allow the paint to blend. So if it's already dry and I add the white, it's just going to be like the white on top of the orange, where I kind of want it to blend in a little bit. So I go back in and add and just, go back over my orange sections with orange. And so now when I do dip my brush in the white, it'll kind of blend it a little bit. So I'm trying to hit up every squiggle, but I'm not going to say that I'm going to be able to hit every one of them. But get enough of them so you kind of get the idea of what we're going for. So now I'm going to dip it in my white, just a tip. And then I am going to wipe that off on my palette, not on my paper towel or anything, on my palette, because I can still dip my brush again in that paint. And then I'm going to go for it on my wiggles. Grab that white where I touched my palette. That's still enough. Look at all of that white that was in there. So it's not like we're wasting it. But I just want to put it there to use later. Okay. Feeling the underwater. I'm feeling it.
It's making me feel cooler already.
I know there's like a heat advisory talking about coming up this weekend.
You got it now. We're at like 85 before the humidity. But by the weekend, we'll be down to 70.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
it's rain in between.
And you're in, did you say Ontario?
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been to Ottawa a few times, but I've not, that's about as far as I've been in. Oh, you know what? I did a half marathon, which it wasn't a half marathon. It was like what, 21 somethings. And we went to the falls, Niagara Falls.
Oh, Niagara.
Yes, I signed up for a run to do that in Niagara Falls and stuff, but we flew to New York and we stayed on the New York side and we walked over. And the race was actually, I don't know what I was thinking. I thought, oh, we're going to be running across, we're going to run across the border and, you know, to the falls, blah, blah, blah. That is not the case. So I was not prepared. It was like, how are we going to get to the start line? Because the start line, it was on the Canada side, but it was like down in a park. I don't know, like 7 or 8 miles down. Now, what we did, we started at that park, we ran down to where we crossed the border and then went back out. And then, you know, so we walked over to over the border, then called an Uber. But actually there was we went in a hotel, we were gonna call Uber in the hotel. There was another runners everywhere. And they were like, hey, one lady, she was like, hey, I'm going to the start line. She had a strong accent. I think she was British. And she was like, hey, why don't you ladies jump in with me? And I'll, you know, you get a ride to the start line. So we rode with her to the start line. And then after the race, we just called an Uber and rode back to the
Rainbow Bridge.
We were the bridge. I don't know which bridge it was.
Rainbow, probably.
Yeah. And then just walked back over to our hotel.
Well, if you'd stayed Niagara on the lake, which isn't that far away, and all that between is got lots of beautiful vineyards and wineries and stuff like that.
Okay. So we didn't venture. That's as far as we got was that park. And my friends, they were tired, you know. I guess they weren't used to running half marathons because after the marathon, I was ready to go. And they were like, oh, I'm hurting. So we went back to the room. We did go to the casino and I might have won like $50 or something. But most of it, the areas that we were in Canada, other than that, we picked up our packets at where they play hockey, that arena there. But we didn't go past the, right there, it was, you know, a big amusement attraction type of area. That's as far as we really got.
Yeah.
I really want to go back. Yeah.
Let me know when you're coming. I'll take you out to the wineries.
Oh, sounds awesome.
If you're into wine.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm always, I'll try it. It's not like, oh, I gotta have some wine, but I will try it. Yes, I do drink it. Don't know a lot about it, but I will drink it. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I got off topic, but now I want to go in and put some highlights in the branches that go up to the, that we see that kind of goes towards the underneath here. Let me show you example. So I didn't like cover it completely, but you can see I put a few highlights here. And then I'm going to throw in my bubbles, throw some bubbles in there. And that's totally optional. Now I am going to get a pointer brush to do those things. That's a pointer. When I say pointer, I need that. A tip, thinner tip. I wet my brush. I always like to wet my brush. I touch it to a paper towel to get any excess water. I don't dry it off because I still want it to be wet and I want that point. You know, if you start drying it, you know, the bristles will start separating. And I am dipping it in the white and I touch it on the palette to make sure I don't have too much white. If I want it to be even more, I'll just dip again. So really all I'm doing is kind of defining. Yep, I feel like that. It's not too much white. Kind of defining the branches. I'm not going to do all of them. You can see that. I'm not going to do all of them. So you can see where they are. Gives them a little bit of dimension. That one went way white. And that's all I'm going to do with that. All right. And so now is the time, just like I was telling Eva, like some of the pink ones, if she wanted to leave it alone and not, then you can grab this and not go white on top of all of it. This would be the time to kind of, you can see where I put just little white, just where it curved a little bit. It gives it a different dimension. It gives it a little bit different, makes it a little bit different. So you can do that then now with the pointer brush. You're planning on doing that. And now I am going to, my bubbles, pretty much the bubbles are just white circles, but tiny circles, not tiny, but okay, smaller. So I thought it was neat to have some of them like down in the, watching too much TV, to have some of them that like were in the squigs. Okay, I'm going to take some of the paint off my brush because I want them to be a little bit lighter.
Tiny bubbles.
Yes, and the way I make the bubbles is I make a C, and then I make another backward C to connect them. So at a paint party last night, I was at a paint party last night, was at a winery.
Yeah.
There was I don't get a lot of male painters. They always, it's like, oh, I don't like painting. I don't like that. And then they end up being the ones who love it the most. Mm-hmm. So there was a fella, he was, I think it was him and his wife and then his in-laws. So it was two guys. They let me know that he was an engineer, and you could tell by his thought, the way he was thinking and processing stuff, that he was an engineer. But I was trying to show him how to make a circle. I did show him the C method, but instead of doing that, he took his brush, and he had the flat brush, and he would just spin it all the way around. That's how he made circles. I said, oh, you can do it that way. But that's how he did it. And he had, I could tell he had fun that night. So don't get carried away with your bubbles, guys. You can have more or less, but don't get too carried away to where your painting is about bubbles. You don't want to take away from your the painting. You want bubbles to vibe with the painting, to accent it, to you know.
Mhm.
So there, I'm trying to look and see if I have enough bubbles. Yeah, I think I'm good with those bubbles. And I am going to put more bubbles, but they're going to be even smaller, where I'm going to take the butt of my brush. I'm going to dip it in the white. So you can see I have that. I'm going to make bubbles like that. And the thing about those bubbles is they'll be perfectly round, because your butt is usually, the butt of your brush, that one is usually pretty round as far as being exact. You could probably get, when you dip your brush, you could probably get 3 good big, nice size dots. So you can do 1, 2, and then 3. So guys, that is my painting. Okay, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Okay, I will always want to be conscious of your time. So some things may take a little bit more than the hour, but I'm always hoping that I can shave it. If it's something super cute, we're just gonna have to go over an hour.
And I don't mind either way, personally. An hour of relaxation.
Yes, an hour of therapy.
Me time, yes, I put it down as art therapy, actually. It's about the only time I actually get a little space for myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, I must admit, I can't lie. I'll come down here and be engrossed in my paintings, and my family, they just, you know what? Get over it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
I
putting
saw
a little
it
arch
just
inside my bubble. You guys can see I just put a little line in there over the top. It doesn't do much. It still looks the same. So I am going to you ladies hang on. I'm going to go ahead and end it with on YouTube.
Mhm.
And the viewers on YouTube, if you have any questions, my email is in the description. And if you would like to submit your painting for me to, well, I would show it on my Facebook page. I would love that if you just send it to me in email, or I'm not sure if you could throw it in the messaging part, and then I can grab it and do it that way. So just let me know. You guys have an awesome day, and I am